What's good, everybody? It's Woodrow, and as you can see, we are looking at the Marvel Previews catalog for the month of July for books mainly coming out in September of 2023. And we are going to jump right in because it is a pretty thick Marvel catalog this month. We got lots of stuff happening. So, okay, let's see. We've got a new Captain America, which I think Marvel's putting a lot of effort behind because it's JMS's return to Marvel. Whether that is related to the writers' strike that is going on in Hollywood, I don't know. I never disliked JMS per se, but I've also never viewed him as a must-read, so I'm fairly indifferent about this. In particular because this ends the Jackson and Lansing and Onyebuchi Captain America books, which, as you all know from watching these videos each month, I was very much a fan of that run, albeit it was short. And yeah, so this looks like a kind of a return to a more traditional form for Captain America, and that interests me far less. Jesus Saez is the artist. He is similar to JMS. I think he's a quality artist. I don't think there's anything wrong with him taking over the book, but I also don't think he's a cartoonist who draws me to a project just because he's doing it. So we'll see. I'll try it, of course, like most of you, but I have to admit I'm not super excited for this relative to what we've been getting the last 2 years. I presume that a lot of people have wanted to see this, which is the Aliens and the Predator characters that Marvel got from Dark Horse, starting to interact, of course, with the Marvel Universe more directly. The good news here is this is written by Ben Percy. The bad news is that it is drawn by Greg Land. I'll be honest with you, I have absolutely no interest in this whatsoever. So, but for those of you who are into this kind of thing, particularly like people who are into the Predator, hopefully this is a lot of fun for you. On the flip side, this is something I have massive interest in. Look at that cover. That is an incredible cover. Al Ewing and Leonard Kirk are doing another Avengers book. I love that we are in this halcyon age of the Avengers, and we've got multiple Avengers books. This is Adventures Inc. It's basically a detective-themed Avengers comic, starring Janet Van Dyne and others. But I'm here for this. I think Al Ewing's a great writer, fan of Leonard Kirk, so sign me up. I didn't realize that we were at the end of Zdarsky's run. He's been at it for a long time. Those of you that are active listening to the podcast know that I read most of Zdarsky's run. I liked the beginning very much and thought the acclaim was very warranted. And then he lost me, so I didn't stick. I read most of it, but I didn't enjoy the second half nearly as much as the first half. But that being said, it was a long run and I think very well received by the public at large. Here we've got Saladin Ahmed, who's taking his turn. And I will say that Daredevil is one of those books, certainly it's never sold anywhere close to, say, Batman, but it's one of those books where if you look back at the people who have written it, it is often a book that Marvel gives to one of their better writers of the moment to kind of make their mark and have their moment. And so I think this is, anytime you see a new writer, you have to assume that this is Marvel somewhat anointing them as a potential major power player at the company for the next few years. And so kudos to Ahmed. He's been doing a bunch of different books at Marvel for a while. And Aaron Cooter, longtime friend of the show, is doing this book with him. So we know it'll look great. I always go in and out of Daredevil. I seemingly end up reading the title in some form, whether it's binging a big chunk of it every now and then or whatever. So I'll be here for this, especially with Cooter doing the art. As you guys know, I just have almost no interest whatsoever in any of the symbiote stuff ever. So the fact that we've got so much of it just, Speaking of Saladin Ahmed, he and Juan Ferreira are doing a book called Spine-Tingling Spider-Man. It's, as I understand it, the Marvel Infinity, the digital comic that they're just bringing to print, though. So some of you may have already read it. We've got, speaking of Al Ewing, we've got the second issue of Immortal Thor, which is, of course, him taking over the Thor title. I'll be checking that out. I love Nightcrawler. I love mutant books. Not sure about Uncanny Spider-Man as a thing, but, I read pretty much all the mutant books, good, bad, or indifferent. So I will be checking this out. Cy Spurrier and Lee Garbett This is part of the Fall of X event that's happening, where they're replacing all of the X titles with new titles, which is weird because they just did this with Sins of Sinister, at least in part, and so they're kind of going back to the well almost immediately. We'll see. This is Uncanny Avengers, number 205, Jerry Duggan, Javier Garron. I'm here for that. If you watched last month's video, you know I was super stoked to see the OG team of Alpha Flight being featured here by Ed Brisson and Scott Godlewski, and always loved the Children of the Vault. I think they've been well done almost every time they've been brought into the mythos, and recently we got a really cool few issues featuring them, so love to see them back. This is written by relative newcomer Dennis Camp with Luca Maresca on art. And then Dark X-Men, number 205, which is Steve Fox, another relative newcomer to Marvel, and Jonas Scharf on art. As I said last month, I wouldn't necessarily pick up a Jean Grey solo miniseries, but Weezy Simonson's writing it. So, hell yeah, I'm here for that. And Bernard Chang's drawing it, which doesn't hurt either. On the flip side, I have absolutely no plans of picking up Astonishing Iceman, which is number 2 of a 5-issue limited series, because it's written by Steve Orlando and art by Vincenzo Caruto, neither of which I'm particularly drawn to. And then Realm of X, number 204, which is Torun Grunbeck, who a little more established at this point at Marvel than a few of the names we just talked about, but certainly still on the come up. The kind of person I think you'll see being handed an event. I feel like it's Jed McKay's time right now to shine at the top of the heap, and then I think Grunbeck could be the next one in line or shortly thereafter. Big doings, anytime, long-time superhero comic fans always know, we always get up for a big wedding. I would say probably the last big wedding in the Marvel Universe, unless I'm forgetting something, was when Storm and T'Challa got married. So we're going back to one probably even more high profile, just in terms of the well, maybe not. No, I guess it's probably on par. But either way, it's Emma Frost and Tony Stark are getting hitched. Yeah, hard to believe, right? But there's 2 issues that are going to deal with this. We've got both written by Jerry Duggan. X-Men 26, which Duggan's been writing from the start with Stefano Caselli, and then Invincible Iron Man number 10, Duggan writing with Juan Frigeri on art. I tried Invincible Iron Man and didn't stick with it. Of course, I'm reading X-Men, so... but in this case, given that it's a tie-in wedding issue and overlaps, I'll be getting both of those issues. X-Men Red continues to be terrific. I love that Ildar Aysenar is on art. I think he's a worthy addition to the crop of artists they've had on that book. And X-Force continues to be badass, of course. Look at that cover. Got my girl right on it. Ben Percy and Robert Gill continue to do their thing. And then Immortal X-Men, that is quite a... I mean, we've seen Wolverine look pretty feral and lots of times. This is maybe an all-timer here. Mark Brooks just continues to slay the covers for Immortal X-Men. Kieran Gill and Lucas Wernick, definitely my favorite mutant book during these last few post-Hickman years. This is the most absurd thing ever. This is last month they had classified number 1 of 4, classified no information. And now we've got number 2. I mean, it's really ridiculous. I don't understand the point of this, because theoretically previews is for store owners to understand what they have to order. Certainly a lot of super fans like us end up getting it for our own interests, but generally speaking, this is designed as an industry publication for retailers. And how is a retailer supposed to do anything with this? They have a budget. How are they going to allocate to this if they don't know what it is? Why have the solicit? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, whatever. Wolverine, one of my less intriguing books, usually, because I just haven't really liked the Wolverine Beast thing. We've talked about this ad nauseum, so I won't relitigate it, but I just don't love the idea of turning the Beast full villain, but it is what it is. It's happened. So there you go. And where you lose me, it takes a lot for me not to read a mutant book, but if you're going to have it tie into Ghost Rider, that's going to do it for me. So not reading this, not reading the Silver Surfer reboot. Ultimate Invasion wraps up this month, 4/4. I just read issue number 1. I thought it was okay. I mean, I will say, as you know, I'm a huge Hickman fan, as many of you are. Had very high hopes. I thought it was okay. I'm sure there's a grand plan, and by the time this fourth issue wraps up, we could be all shouting to the skies like, oh, Hickman did it again. But certainly the first issue of Ultimate Invasion didn't feel in any way the same in terms of its innovative approach or how special it would be relative to, say, when he was doing, the Hoxpox for the reboot of the Mutant Universe. We've got a one-shot here, Werewolf by Night, written by Derek Landy with art by Fran Galan. It doesn't say, if you read the solicit, it doesn't say that it's based on the Halloween one-shot episode we got on Disney Plus last year. But it certainly reads, the solicit reads exactly like it's that turned into a comic. So I suspect they took the same script and turned it into a comic one-shot. It'll be interesting to see if I'm right. We've got facsimile editions of Rom and Micronauts, and if you're on our Slack, you know that why. It's because Marvel got back the rights to these finally, and we're going to get Omniboo of both of them. Got some Contest of Chaos as a Spider-related mini event, pairing up different characters of the Marvel Universe against one another. I will not be getting any of these. There's some annuals, the Avengers and X-Men. I don't generally read annuals anymore. They're generally fill-in, money grab type of things without much consequence, so I'll be passing on those. I'm not reading Amazing Spider-Man at present. In fact, I don't think I'm reading any other than Miles Morales. That's the only Spider book I'm reading currently. And here we go. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 10, written by Cody Ziegler with Partha Pratim on art. So another relative newcomer to Marvel. Not getting any of these books. Or these. Or these. So a bit of a dry spell here. Bear with me. Okay. I haven't read Incredible Hulk number 1. I think Vince was skeptical because of PKJ writing it, but I think it won him over. I think Depp also liked it, if I'm not mistaken, so I'll probably be reading this. Certainly Avengers, as you all know, I mark out to the Avengers when they, at any point, whether they're good or bad, and right now, Jed's off to a good start, so very excited to continue that. Blade is a yes, especially because of Elena Casagrande on art. Black Panther is a yes because it's Black Panther. Guardians of the Galaxy has been off to a great start. I'm a huge fan of what Kelly and Lansing have done so far in their budding careers, and so I followed them here, taking over characters that I've always adored, and Alex Linz has done a great job on art here in these first few issues, so I'm definitely enjoying this. And probably the most surprising book of the bunch for me is Scarlet Witch, because Steve Orlando, but so far so good. It's kind of like a pitcher having a perfect game. You don't want to mention it because you're going to jinx it. So I won't talk too long about it, but I'll just say I've been very pleasantly surprised so far. Not reading either Moon Knight. Sorry, Raj. I have read the first 3 issues of FF, so I'm approaching a full year of backlog there, but I've heard very good things from those that have read it, and I'm looking forward to catching up soon. And yes, because Doctor Strange is a cool character, and Jed McKay's been doing a nice job. The Star Wars stuff's all a pass for me, so can't say it's not worth reading or worth reading. I'm just not reading it. But so we've got a bunch of Star Wars stuff as always. They're really pushing this Dark Droids concept, which I don't follow the Marvel Star Wars stuff too closely, but I assume it's, some kind of evil droid theme to most of the books for the next few months. And there are some miniseries that tie into Dark Droids directly, which could be pretty cool. We've got the regular monthly tout of the current Stormbreakers. And as promised, probably the thing most of you are most excited about this month in this catalog, Rom, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, Volume 1. This is an absolute no-brainer. In a world where there are way too many omnibus, and I have way too many still in the shrink wrap, this is one that I can't possibly fathom not buying. We've all been waiting for it forever and ever, and frankly, I think most of us thought we'd never get it. This collects Rom, 1979 series, number 1 through 29, Power Man and Iron Fist number 73, where Rom guest stars. There you go. In and out, plain and simple, the good. Can't wait to get it. I'm sure we will talk about this in some form or fashion on the show once we all get it. Probably an omnibus that very few of you are going to order, and I understand, but I am very excited about. The official handbook of the Marvel Universe Master Edition. which collects the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Master Edition, number 1 through 36. Super excited for it. Yes, it's outdated. Yes, most of these characters' histories have evolved well past what we're going to read in this, but I don't care because, as most of you know, if you've listened to our show for a long time, Ohatmu is what got me into being a comic nerd. We've got a new printing of the Ben Reilly Volume 2 Omnibus. I'm not on that. I didn't buy the first printing either. We've got Thor by Straczynski and Gillen. Really, really good series. I don't think it rises to the level of Omnibus for me, though. And we've got a Danny Rand Iron Fist Early Years Omnibus. I'm on the fence on this one, I think, because I know I have at least one Omnibus that's similarly focused, although not quite the same. So I got to go downstairs and check and see how much of there's overlap. Because if there's significant overlap, I'm not going to order this. If it's mostly stuff that hasn't been collected, then I will order it. But I'm pretty sure I have an omnibus that collects a lot of this already. And then we've got a bunch of Masterworks and trades, which I'm not going to really spend time because I don't buy any of them, and they're just reprints of stuff. So, you know, pick your if you're a trade guy, cool. If you're an essential guy, cool. Epic collection guy, whatever works for you. I don't really deal with any of those, so there we have it. All right, well, pretty good month, I'd say. I am excited about a handful of the new titles, and I certainly will at least give them a try at their outset. And I like that we're not inundated with collected editions this month, especially with ROM being there, because that's a must-buy. So I don't feel like I'm being overwhelmed with Marvel budgetary decisions. So kudos, Marvel. And that'll do it. So I will sign off, and make sure you check out our videos for both the main previous catalog and DC Connect as well. Peace.